I've applied to 300 plus jobs since August and I've heard back on none of them.
Come with me to get laid off.
This is what it's like to work in accounting and finance in a private company in America.
So today we're going to be taking a look at the job market because I'm not going to lie to you, it is not looking good out there. I know that these videos hit home with many people all over the country right now. So we're going to be taking a look at what people are going through just to try to get a job, what they deal with while they're at the job, including some incredibly embarrassing pay for what you do, and the lack of security when it comes to being laid off at a moment's notice. We also have some comments from you guys from previous videos, so if you want to be featured on a future video, leave it in the comments down below. But we're just going to jump right into it.
Tell me why I interviewed for a job and I went through 4 interviews. First of all, they reached out to me to ask me if I was interested in the job. So they saw my LinkedIn. I sent them a resume ultimately, and I was like, yeah, cool. Like, let me, I'm interested. They all looked at my qualifications. They looked at what qualifications I didn't have, right? Let's start there. And then they were like, yeah, let's interview. So I went through 4 different people, 4 different interviews, actually 5 people. Only at the very end to be told that I didn't have the qualifications that they were looking for.
So this has to be some sort of lie because she didn't even apply for this job. The company found her through LinkedIn, which I mean at that point still going through 4 rounds of interviews when you were basically headhunted, just to be told at the end that you don't have the qualifications. Wouldn't you know that before you even reached out? It just sounds so ridiculous now that I don't even really know what to say. My only guess is that they had a group of people interview for the exact same job and she just didn't get it in the end and just made up some lame excuse that she wasn't qualified in the first place. We can look at a couple of the comments. No job needs more than 2 interviews. Anything more is a red flag. We've seen in the job demand videos people going through 7 or 8 rounds of interviews. It's almost like it's a competition for some reason, because in the meantime the boss's niece got the job. I mean, wouldn't really put it past them. I don't understand how they could get away with wasting people's time when they could clearly see the qualifications on the resume and still waste people's time and false hope. Even the creator responded, at least they didn't make me do a project. Hard pass. I guess they would almost give the interviewee homework to see how they do under pressure or what they would do in their work environment, something ridiculous like that, basically getting free work. But still, unfortunately, these companies could get away with it right now because of how bad the market is as a whole. You're still going to get a flood of resumes from anybody under the sun just trying to find a job right now in 2025. We have a comment from one of you guys. It's amazing how fast the job market went from no one wants to work to there are no jobs. My neck hurts from the whiplash. I don't see that sentiment going around too much anymore. It really seems like every person is looking for a job right now and is willing to work almost anywhere and is still getting denied, even from dead-end retail jobs. We'll see a little bit later in this video. Here we have one that's a very interesting way to find out that you're about to get canned.
Y'all want to hear how I lost my job? Basically, I started getting all these LinkedIn messages from girls that are like applying for my company. I was like, I didn't even know we were hiring. Next thing I know, I go check the LinkedIn post to see what job they're hiring for. And it's mine. Nobody told me. They just posted my job on LinkedIn. I'm getting messages from girls asking if I will help them get my freaking job. I'm not really too mad about it because, like, it's not like I got fired. They just listed my job on LinkedIn. I've been to work and my boss was like, oh yeah, by the way, you have till June. So it's chill. I'm really not mad. It's okay.
But if you decide to quit and don't give in your 2 weeks notice, they throw a hissy fit. They probably still end up losing their mind when you do give your notice. But her old company didn't even have the balls to outwardly say, yeah, we're going to be letting you go soon. She had to find out through LinkedIn and then confront her boss. Nice. I was laid off last month and saw the job posting for my role last night. That should be illegal. I hate these companies. We have another comment from one of you guys. I'm a financial advisor and many of my clients are looking for help after being laid off. Many people with decades of experience have been out of work for 6 months to a year or more. It's really sad. The job market is way worse than what they say. Many of these corporations are posting openings to mimic growth. We'll see a little bit of fraud later in the video as well, but they don't intend to hire anyone. Scary times. I think you and I both know what the ghost listings are. That is very prevalent all throughout social media now. LinkedIn, Indeed, any of the sites you could find a job, because now apparently it's just okay to lie on the resume. There are no repercussions.
So why are companies tricking you now, doing false advertising, that posting that it's a remote job when it's really not?
For example, I was thinking of applying to this job on LinkedIn. It clearly says remote, but when you go to the job posting, it says Atlanta, but remote friendly, but hybrid. And then as you fill out this application, it asks you this question saying Greenlight is a registered employer in many but not all U.S. states. Don't really know what that means. Please tell us where you reside. So I put Seattle. And then, way at the bottom of the application, after I filled it all out, it says, we are currently prioritizing candidates who are based in Boston, Massachusetts, or Atlanta, Georgia. Please confirm where you're located. So now I'm just like, do I even apply? What is this?
It's basically false hope for people looking for a job now, because work from home or remote jobs are still very desirable, especially most of the time when you do go to a corporate office. You're just doing exactly what I'm doing, sitting at a desk staring at a monitor all day. You could do that with a laptop in your living room or really anywhere in the world. But they know many people are so desperate right now that even if they lie about the remote job, they'll still get a ton of applications. People basically begging for a job now. We could look at some of the common salaries, somewhere between $7 an hour and $250,000 a year. We've seen that pretty often in the job posting videos I've made. Just wildly different salaries you could be making, which almost every single time you're going to get the minimum that they post on that listing, but that hope of $250,000 a year will still make you think there's a small chance that you could get that, and it's just not going to happen. Start reporting them as fraud. Wouldn't be surprised if they take down the listing and then just repost it a couple days later. Remote, but must be able to report at headquarters occasionally. Well, then that's not remote. My local Target posted a human resources position. I clicked on it and it's a cashier position. The market is cooked. I'm not even pretending to look at jobs listed as remote anymore. But if you lie on your resume and they catch you, oh, you are completely screwed. But the companies, though, they could lie and do whatever they want. We have another comment from one of you guys. The greatest lie ever told is that your company cares about you. I assure you they don't. That definitely holds true to any of the news that you see with the mass layoffs in really any sector of work right now.
All right, guys, 3 weeks in a row now, and 7 out of the last 8 weeks, there has been a major layoff that has occurred within my professional network. I saw some posts earlier about Texas Instruments, and then of course just Googled the news just before recording this. That's a bummer, big time bummer. And then of course we had Block earlier this week, which Jack Dorsey's the CEO of Block, so love seeing that kind of stuff.
And I know especially the tech sector is completely cooked right now and has been in a bad spot for a long time, but we're seeing a lot of issues in the auto industry as well. Of course, any of the corporate life. And I know a lot of people's solutions to that in the comments of really any video online talking about jobs is to go into some sort of trade, which I do agree with, but there definitely are some cons we'll get to a little bit later. There's also an ever increasing trend that I'm seeing on my For You page. POV, it's 5 o'clock in the morning and you've been camping out for hours just to try to be one of the first people to enter the career fair for a job. And you could just see a sea of people in full suits. I guess they're overnight for the just tiniest hint of a job in what I'm guessing is some sort of tech sector. In one of my older videos, there was a similar clip of a whole bunch of younger people in their 20s in full suits sprinting up the stairs for the exact same thing, some sort of tech job fair. It honestly looked like the Hunger Games. It was pretty insane. This proves that college degrees are oversaturated and aren't as valuable as they used to be. People hire off of only referrals and connections, and I know networking has been a huge thing for such a long period of time, but we just went over a lot of these student debt, how many college degrees don't really matter as much anymore. We're not even talking about the art degrees or anything like that. Things that were supposed to land you a job even just a decade ago, a lot of the tech, a lot of the CS, and now even going through years of college, racking up 6 figures worth of debt, you have to camp out overnight in a suit for just the possibility of getting hired. So it's not surprising when you see a lot of clips like this, even though this is a skit. This 100% happens all the time now.
Bro, I finally did it. 4 years. I got my engineering degree.
Oh, that's dope, man. Congrats. Where are you working?
Target.
Like corporate?
Nah, I'm doing cart retrieval.
You got an engineering degree to push carts?
It's not just pushing carts, bro. I'm optimizing cart logistics, reducing friction, and enhancing parking lot efficiency.
You've got $80,000 in student loans to be a glorified Roomba.
$120,000 actually. Interest is crazy.
Bro.
Yeah, but I get 10% discount on store brand Hot Pockets, so it evens out.
I know I'm not supposed to be smiling and laughing through this because overall it's pretty depressing, and this is legitimately people's lives right now. Just graduated with a bio degree and got denied by Walmart. All right then. It's crazy the world we live in right now. The job market is oversaturated and or competitive. Big companies have the upper hand now. They've had it for a while. This isn't 2021 anymore. The Great Resignation is over, and I 100% agree with that. Finance here working at a retail store. We have another example of that, somebody with a CS degree.
I just got my first job offer and I'm so grateful that I've chosen computer science as my degree now. This is what it says. Hi Calvin, your background in software and design could be a great asset in a fast-paced environment. Chipotle is looking for critical...
There's nothing I can really say other than this is crazy. Just put the guac in the bowl, brother. At least you got the job. They rejected my application. Oh, well, didn't even get it. Now, this next clip, I had to look up after this because I thought it was so insane, especially for one of the few careers now that you are going to rack up a massive amount of debt, but it's still one of the most solid ways to make a boatload of money in your lifetime. It'll just take you years and years and years.
Here's how much money I made in my last paycheck as a resident doctor. I'm currently rotating through the ICU right now, and I am working on average, if you include sign out, 12 and a half hours per day. And since I'm on an elective rotation, I'm luckily only working 5 days per week. So for my last paycheck, I essentially worked about 125 hours. If you assume that I got out on time after sign out and didn't have to stay to finish up any charting or anything. So after taxes, my last paycheck was $1,942.77. That comes out to about $15.54 per hour. Again, this is after taxes. I did not calculate before taxes, but at least gives you guys a rough idea of what it would look like hourly if you were to break down my paycheck. Big thing to remember is that residents do not get paid overtime, so any of my hours over 40 for any of these weeks is not getting any sort of pay differential. Don't get paid a differential if I'm working nights, and if there is work that still needs to be done, we don't leave. If things happen with our patients, we don't leave. There is no clocking out. You don't clock out for lunch breaks. Let me know what you guys think about resident pay.
So this is something that I personally did not know. And surprise, surprise, I was never going to be a doctor, so I did not look this up. I just assumed myself that when you are done with med school finally and racking up $500,000 worth of debt, that even in residency, you made a good amount of money. And of course, when you're done with it, your pay increases even more, and then the longer you're there, the more money you make. That seemed justified to me, but no. He's basically making $15 an hour as a resident doctor. And I know it's different than being a doctor for 20 some years or whatever. So I looked it up a little bit more. Residency after medical school typically lasts 3 to 7 years, depending on the medical specialties. Some specialties like family medicine, internal medicine, pediatrics have shorter residency programs, 3 years, while others, general surgery, plastic surgery, require 5 to 6 years. And then some specialties offer even more. So this guy's pulling 12-hour shifts and is not being paid overtime after going to a 4-year school and then med school, racking up easily 6 figures worth of debt to make $15 an hour, and then after residency's done, at least 3 years. Doctors generally make significantly more money after completing residency and becoming an attending physician. First residency typically earns $63,000 a year, and then primary care physicians post-residency is between $200,000 to $250,000, and then surgeons out of residency can expect almost $300,000, which obviously is a massive amount of money, but the amount of schooling you have to go through on top of residency, that seems insane to me. Seeing this as an anesthesiologist makes $750,000 a year. Everyone in the healthcare is overworked and underpaid. In-N-Out starts at $22 an hour. That's nuts. We have another comment from one of you guys. I got laid off recently. I saw it coming. Work had slowed down. Luckily, before I got laid off, I focused on paying off my debt, saving some money, and had significantly lowered my expenses. Good luck, everyone. And that sounds very depressing. And we could see another clip of somebody recording themselves also getting fired.
Come with me to get laid off. I joined a meeting with my manager this morning and HR was there, so I knew immediately what was happening. My company has not been doing well lately, but I just naively thought that'll never affect me. I thought wrong. My initial reaction was to cry, not out of sadness, but just out of pure shock. And my parents happened to be in town, which I am so grateful for today. Although the reason they're in town is that I just bought a new home. Talk about timing. I still have to furnish this home, even though I'm not going to be making any money, so I went furniture shopping. I took a quick mental breakdown in Ashley Furniture, just contemplating what my life looks like now. But then I realized I just need to eat, and that'll make me feel better. So we went out to lunch, and then I realized I could just take a nap right now in the middle of the day. So that's what I did. I had a hair appointment that I had already booked, and there was a lady there who was just totally rubbing in my face that she was employed. How rude. And then I went and got a milkshake to emotionally eat before sitting down to file for unemployment. As it turns out, since I worked one day this week, I have to wait until next week to get any benefits. So see you back here then.
So from this video and the last comment from you guys, you can see the vast differences of the reactions to getting laid off. I know it was terrible timing, her just buying a house and then getting canned, but probably need to hold back on spending money right now, especially in this job market. You applying to a few jobs in Indeed basically gets you nowhere right now. It is a long process to find another job. We can look at a couple of comments. You 100% don't have to furnish anything if you don't have a job. Sit and sleep on the floor. I mean, I know that sounds kind of messed up, but if no money is coming in right now, what else are you supposed to do? Do not furniture shop. You don't need that right now. Save, save, save. The job market is wild right now. The other thing that I like to add on is something that I've talked about before. Recording yourself getting fired, even putting the emoji in front of the HR person's head. For any future employer who wants to dig into your social media, anything that you've done online, probably not the smartest thing to put out in public. It just seems like drama for the company. If there's any issues in the future and you get fired from the next job, I think, at least in my opinion, that's a very good way to get looked over for any applications in the future right now. But even with me saying that, I bet there are tons of posts very similar uploaded daily on social media because these get a lot of views. Another comment from one of you guys: you could lose your job at any minute. No job is secure. Pay off your debt and save as much money as possible. Don't spend too much money. I learned that the hard way. We do have a few sets of clips that are definitely different than what we've seen on this video so far. Some crazy things people would admit online or would trade places with others for the pay that was apparently too low.
I just quit my job to my boss's face. I told him that the $1,800 a week was not worth it, and I have no idea what I'm going to do, but I've got 6 weeks to figure it out because that's how much I have left to pay rent.
Her job wasn't worth it at almost $2,000 a week, $7,200 a month, which is almost $87,000 a year. I'm not saying that's an unbelievable amount of money, but that's still a pretty good salary. And you can see by everybody's comments under this video, seems like she made the wrong choice. I wish for $1,800 a week. You just made the worst decision ever. $1,800 a week, send your boss my way. $1,800 a week, is that after tax? I'm only getting $1,200 after tax every 2 weeks. Maybe that's not enough if you live in an extremely high cost of living area, but I would say for many people, almost $90,000 a year salary is probably a pretty good deal in this market. Similar to the trend we saw previously of people admitting their worst financial mistakes, we have one on board: tell me the worst thing you've ever done as an employee. Like, you definitely should have been fired and it's a miracle nobody found out. And there were many comments of people just outwardly admitting bad things they did at work. I used to work at Menchie's, which I did not know was a place, but apparently is a frozen yogurt store. And whenever I had a rude customer, I would pretend to type in their rewards number, but I'd actually type in mine. I used to put in to-go orders for a guy named Roman. When he didn't come pick it up, I would get to eat it. Roman never existed. I had a rude customer and cursed her out with a smile on my face, so when they called in to complain about me, they rolled the footage and they assumed she was lying because I looked so polite. When I worked at a grocery store and someone's car declined for things like diapers, formula, and baby food, I would change the items to 0 so they could take all the stuff and my drawer wouldn't be short. The next comment I thought was pretty funny as well. This comment section is why they're replacing us with AI. Unfortunately, none of these are as heinous as mine, so I'm going to stay quiet. At least one person had the sense to not admit what they did at their job that was most likely illegal for nothing, for just likes on a TikTok comment section. Because I bet if you really wanted to start looking at these accounts, you could find out who they are. Most of these don't have their full first and last name, but you could do a lot more digging than you you think online, and you could probably find out who a lot of these people are. I worked at a ski resort and was giving employee discounts to anybody who was nice. Tell me to have a great day, yeah, you get 50% off. Not my money. There are pages and pages of comments like this, and I'm of course not trying to defend these companies right now, especially for all the hoops you gotta jump through and how much more work you have to do because they're laying off people to still have increasing profits, which just in turn makes everybody who's still there work even more for of course no increased pay whatsoever. But basically ratting yourself out like this in comment sections can't be the smartest thing to do. I mean, all for a few thousand likes on TikTok, like what are you doing?
The girl who got fired for wearing a tube top and a miniskirt to her second day of work and lost like a $200,000 job, I don't feel bad for that person. I saw a video earlier where someone was saying that dress codes are like inherently misogynistic and what should it matter what people are wearing, etc., etc. That's a very valid conversation to have. But hello, in this job market, honey, to make that choice to wear a tube top, you know that that's not the norm. You know you are going against the social contract, essentially. The professional contract. You took a risk and you failed. And for what? What did you get out of that? The train has flown so far off the tracks. Like, people need to get a grip with certain things. And in this climate, in this job market, like, things are so precarious as it is. Don't be a idiot. Like, it drives me nuts.
But that possibility for attention and likes and followers on social media is basically a drug now, so some people's common sense is thrown right out the window. We made a whole dedicated video on my second channel talking about this and a lot of different examples, which funny enough got limited ads. YouTube did not like that I was talking about it. It was a little too risque for their site. So if YouTube didn't like me even speaking about the incident on their site, do you think it would have gone over well if you decided to do that at your corporate 9-to-5? Like she said, in this climate, losing a $200,000 a year job for some clout seems pretty insane to me. We could look at some of the comments. If you don't have critical thinking skills to not wear a tube top to work, then you're not capable of having a corporate job. Now we're going to go over to one of the possible solutions that many people will talk about in any of these job videos all across social media, and that's talking about getting into trades, which I generally agree with, but there are definitely cons that come into it. But we're just going to start off with this clip and the results of this guy posting this video.
I have been a contractor for 20 years now. Talking to a friend today, I came to this realization. When is the last time you drove by a job site and seen a bunch of 20-year-olds working? All the contractors out there, what's the average age of your employees? The majority of construction workers and tradespeople in this country are in their late 30s to 60s. What's the future of the trades going to be like? Because even the young ones that we have now, they're just laborers for the most part. Nobody wants to learn any skilled trades anymore or take time to learn them. Our country's work ethic in general has declined so significantly. Hopefully something changes.
So as you could see by the screenshot of this video, this guy turned off the comment section for this clip. So you could guess the amount of backlash he got for this comment, because honestly, there are a good amount of people who are taking that advice going into the trades. But before I get into any of my thoughts, we could look at this clip.
Hey, you remember how all the boomers in our lives told us we needed to get real jobs, get into trades? I did. When COVID hit, my bartending career ended. I did just that. I got into CNC work and I became a highly respected, highly certified machine operator. And programming, went to a internship for programming for a year across the country. I just took a position as a supervisor after 5 years, almost 5 years in this field, because I had to wait for a boomer who was in the position to retire. Now here's my problem, all right? I came into this position at over $50,000 less a year salary than he left it. And he wouldn't even respond to emails. He refused to. And they allowed him to do that because it was just Bill. They didn't expect Bill to know how to use the computer or join the Google Meets, but they do me. I'm working 10 times harder than Bill worked his entire career for $50,000 less. A real job. Live your passion and follow your dreams.
So maybe you can make the argument that that guy Bill has been there forever and that's why he's making $50,000 more a year. However, he got grandfathered in going, oh, I'm not going to use the computer, I'm not using email, blah, blah, blah. But could you imagine if I went in or somebody around my age went in and said, you know what, I'll do everything, but I just don't use that specific machine, you know? It's just not my thing. Do you think I'd get a free pass? No, they would eat me alive. We could start looking at other problems in the comment section. The problem with getting into the trades is that old heads don't want to teach young people how to do things. They just want to make fun of them for not being able to do it. I have seen so many examples on TikTok of this exact same thing. There are many people like me thinking that the corporate 9-to-5 is basically hell. They'd much rather be working with their hands, but once you're young getting into the trades, you're basically getting hazed by all the people with broken down bodies, have been doing it for decades, and they don't really want to help you, and then they turn around and complain that people don't want to do it. Another thing that I've seen, especially with construction workers, people doing manual labor a lot, is that they get an increasingly unhealthy lifestyle. They're eating very unhealthy fast food type of stuff nonstop, so even with all the work that they're doing, they'll become severely overweight or obese. Even after the job is done, a lot of them will end up going to the bars. Again, empty calories, just adding on. You do that for decades and decades with your body breaking down because of the manual labor. When you're around that 60 or 70-year-old age, you're probably not going to be very mobile. We have another comment from one of you guys. Everybody in the comment section saying just work in the trades doesn't understand what 30 years of being an HVAC tech or pipe fitter does to your body. White collar jobs compensate for your mind. Blue collar compensates for your body. When your body is done, you're done. I've talked about this previously as well. It's not like I'm against the trades, but I don't think I'd be able to do it. Not because I wouldn't learn to do it, but I already have terrible joints right now. My back hurts. My knees are terrible. My ankles are terrible. My elbows and shoulders hurt. If I try to lay on a tile floor fixing a sink or a toilet, I might not be able to get back up. It sounds bad, but my body is an old man already. And I think many people don't realize this. Even with the good pay, decades and decades of that kind of work will take a crazy toll on your body.
So someone on my team just quit and put in their notice, and they're doing all this handoff to our boss, and I'm getting some of it, which is fine. It makes sense for me in my role. Two things. First, they told me this would be a great opportunity for me to step up. Where's my money? Two, apparently my boss is getting so slammed with some of the stuff that this person was working on that he had to log offline. I'm in compensation. I teach total rewards at a university. Just pay people. That's all you got to do is you just have to pay people what they're worth. Otherwise you lose them.
So imagine if you logged off of work because you were too swamped. You think you'd be able to just get away with it? And of course, whenever you hear any of the it's time for you to step up, that never comes with an increase in pay. There are so many clips like that of people having virtually the exact same story right now. But these companies know they have basically complete control over you, because what are you going to do? You can't just go get another job. You just have to do everything they say and hope that you're not the next one out the door. It could get so bad that it could turn into this.
This is what it's like to work in accounting and finance in a private company in America. All right. They say, hey, Manny, can you put together a budget for next year? Okay. I do some math. I look at it, Excel models. I say, all right, profits reasonably should increase 5% next year. And they look at me and say, make it 10%. And I say, I don't think that's reasonable. And they say, why? And I say, because of various economic factors, at the laws of physics, we don't have the American population to support that amount of buying and cost increases. And they say, that sounds good, tell no one, our investors hate that, just say it's 10%. So then I basically do internal fraud and say, yeah, profit's gonna grow 10% next year.
Because at the end of the day, many of these companies only care about their stock price going up. That's all that matters to them, even if they're lying to shareholders' faces. If the green line goes up, it makes it look like the company is doing better and better every single year or every quarter. One of the comments I thought was pretty funny as someone who works in accounting. Accounting is just jazz with numbers. But we're going to finish off this video with a clip that I'm not surprised, even though I've talked about it many times, how much I'm just getting tired of being sold to on social media 24/7 by any creator you could really think of. I'm not surprised we see more and more people doing it every single day, because I bet these people make even more money compared to a normal 9-to-5 corporate hell job.
Seeing behind the streams at a TikTok shop studio where people go live every day to sell a variety of products like Nailies, Lola Bites, Beast Bites, there's this choice, there's Abraham, and there's Wise, and we have a lot of other live stream sets that are still live. It is almost 8 p.m. Pacific time. This is our TikTok shop studio. This is Casey and Darby on Neurogum, killing it, and we're still live. People have been live here since 8 a.m. This is now at least like 12 hours at this point. And by the way, we're on 3rd Street Promenade. So it's a really fun place. If you're a creator, by the way, or a business owner, you want to work with us. Oh, Cindy just dropped something. What did Cindy drop? Here we go. We got the FHI Heat Unbrush. Yes, and if you are a business owner or a creator who wants to work with us, come hang out at our shop, get to know us, send me a message if you want to work with us. By the way, if you're a creator, we have a creator membership just for you. Violation support, training, free coffee and matcha, and more. DM me and follow the account. Join the live right now.
So as much as I'm tired of just products being pushed in my face all the time, I'm not really surprised when there is no slowdown and there are entire studios of just TikTok live shops selling their products to everybody on the platform. I mean, this could go for any social media platform as well. So that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.